Hey everyone, this is PrinceBrightstar, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. So, we are now headed into the quest that essentially set up Endwalker, which is coming out this November. I cannot wait to get this started, so let's go ahead and just hop right in, starting off with Eorzea over here. Unto the Breach. Good news, Prince. Thancred and Eorzea have finished their tour of Garlemald, and are on their way back here even as we speak. Hey, Wolfric. As we still haven't heard anything on the towers from the Alliance, I'm hoping they might be able to shed some light on things. And good to see you too there, Krabados. And have a good night as well, I guess. They're due to arrive any moment now, so let's see what they have to say, eh? Ah, a welcoming party. You needn't have gone to the trouble. From what I hear, you've been more than busy enough as it is. Honestly, you might have waited for me to return before discovering a cure for tempering. As it is, I can't even pretend to have been involved. Well, if it's any consolation, I myself was a little more than a spectator. The lion's share of the credit must go to Eorzea, G'raha, and Prince. But I believe I speak for the rest of us when I say we are proud to have rendered what little assistance we could. As you will also have heard, though, it hasn't all been tales of triumph. Just as we were taking a step towards finally addressing the primal threat, a pile of fresh problems landed in our lap. Anyway, it is good to have you back. Though I can't help noticing that we're one Eorzea short of a scouting party. You haven't lost him, have you? Oh, I couldn't lose him if I tried. And I did try, repeatedly. But no, he decided to linger in Alamigo to apprise Raubahn and the others of how the land lies in Garlemald. And mayhap you would do the same for us. Indeed. It was just as Lee said. Worse, in fact. Devastation as far as the eye could see. Nerva and the Third, however, were notable by their absence. Might they have met their end at the hands of Xenos and Fandaniel? Perhaps. Or perhaps they simply lost the will to fight. You see, the capital has been plunged into a deathly silence, with one exception, the Imperial Palace. It was a busy place before the war, but it has grown busier still, with throngs of soldiers and civilians working there day and night to rebuild, or rather transform it. Transform it? Into what? That is a difficult question to answer. The construction is vast and unsettling to behold, like something from a nightmare. According to Eorzea, certain aspects of its design were clearly devised with the manipulation of ether in mind. Magitech, in other words. Yet as unnerving as said edifice was, it was nothing next to the sight of its builders. They swarmed the place like so many insects, working with nary a word exchange between them. No one overseeing construction, no one barking orders. It was as if they were possessed or tempered. We wanted to investigate more closely, but given our suspicions, it seemed wiser not to take the risk. If Fandaniel could bind Bahamut to his will, might he have done the same to the people of Garlemald? Whatever the truth may be, this information is certain to prove valuable. You have our thanks. Well, I'll be sure to save some for Eorzea. Which reminds me, I have a message from Alamigo. Raubahn is hosting a meeting to discuss the latest findings on the towers, and he requested our presence. Then why not leave that to us? You must be weary from your mission. No, I'm fine. Those towers have been on my mind since I first spied one on the way back, and I'm keen to get to the bottom of this. In that case, I shall stay and begin looking into another matter, as I promised Kryle. We need not all attend. Very well. I suggest the rest of us make our way to Alamigo forthwith. The sooner we leave, the more time we will have to speak with Eorzea before the meeting. Alright, you got anything to say here? If you are curious to know what I will be doing in your absence, let us speak of it another time. At present, Kryle and I have no more than a hypothesis. Alright, so let's make our way over to Alamigo. Dragon Lights, good to have you on the stream here. Oh, and let me turn this up a bit here. There we go, that's better. Okay, so it looks like we need to head to the northeast here. Probably to the same meeting place we've been to before. Yes, indeed. Eorzea. My friends, much and more have I heard of your travails in our absence. Heartened am I to see you all hale and whole. As are we to see you safely return from your mission, Eorzea. I trust Thancred made you feel welcome? Well, if it isn't Alphinaud and his merry band. Arenvald, whatever are you doing here? When we spoke via Link Pearl, you told me you'd be away on a mission. And who's to say this isn't part of it? But enough about that. It's good to see you looking so similar. I thought you'd have grown a bit taller after a whole year in another world, but apparently not. Well, I am sorry to disappoint you. While my soul may be a year older, my body has hardly aged, as you are well aware. And may I remind you that we Elezen are known to be late bloomers, especially in terms of our height. Mark my words, the day will come when even a great Aurochs, such as yourself, will crane your neck to meet my eye. Why does this give me a sense of deja vu back to the end of patch 5.3? Aye, 'twas not until my 20th summer that I myself outgrew my boyish proportions, though Moonbrita towered over me nonetheless. Arenvald brings out the best in Alphinaud, doesn't he? They both seem so at ease in each other's company. It's almost endearing. So what exactly brings you here? Oh, Fordola, mostly. We need to go over a few things before we set out. Set out? Wait, does this have something to do with the towers? Eh? What gave you that impression? Actually, tell me later. You've got a meeting to go to. I'll see you afterwards, alright? If Fordola is going with them, then that must mean... My apologies. As Arenvald rightly pointed out, we have a meeting to attend. Let us be about it.
Ere we begin, I would like to offer my gratitude to Masters Thancred and Eorzea. It is no small feat to infiltrate the Imperial capital and live to tell the tale, much less in times of civil war. Thanks to them, we may plot our course in full knowledge of how the winds blow in Garlemald.
Full glad are we to have been of service. But verily, such dangers as we did encounter pale into insignificance next to those faced by our comrades. An Ascian, armed with the might of Bahamut, bent on bringing about the final days.
Theatrics. He sought only to make a show of the power at the Telophoroid's disposal. But since then we have seen no sign of this Fandaniel or his worm. And while we've done what we can to bolster our defenses, there's no telling where he might strike next.
Whenever and wherever it may be, we must use the intervening time to learn more of our enemy. 'Twas with this in mind that we dispatched scouts to investigate the towers.
Our advance party took longer than expected to return. And when they did, they tried to... Luckily, I'd seen that sort of thing before, and we were able to restrain them before they did any harm. Then it was just a matter of letting the Porksies do their work.
Are you saying they were tempered?
Once they'd come back to their senses, they told us everything they could. It seems that just as they were getting close to the tower, they heard an ear-splitting roar. And that was the last thing they remembered. But what worries me most is what they were saying right before they attacked. Glory be to Garlemald.
The Tempered have heretofore ever been thralls to primal entities. Yet these hapless souls were compelled to accept a nation as the object of their devotion. This calleth into question all that we know of the condition.
Would that the unsettling news ended there. Alas, there is more. Following the earlier reports of missing Amalja, we have learnt that other beast tribes have suffered similar losses. And we now have reason to believe that the abductions are connected to the appearance of the towers. Our scouts sighted black-garbed figures leading shackled Ixal in the direction of the tower in Dravania. The Temple Knights were able to intercept them before they could reach their destination, liberating the Ixal and apprehending their captors, each of whom was found to be equipped with Garlean arms and armor.
So the Empire is the common thread.
If I had to take a stab in the dark here, I would say there's something that Fandaniel's doing that's causing them to act like they want to praise Garlemald.
With the support of Xenos, it seems likely that Fandaniel has rallied a faction of the splintered Garlean army to the banner of the Telophoroi.
Lord Hien reached the same conclusion when I shared our findings with Doma. The plan had been to march on Garlemald from the east and west in order to force a peace treaty. But the situation has changed. Dealing with the threat of the towers must come first. Given the nature of the enemy and the proven risk of tempering, I could think of few suitable candidates to aid in this task. But I am confident in my choice.
What?
Resistant to primal influence as they are, They can investigate the towers without fear of being turned.
And so Fordrola is gonna get her redemption arc.
We are glad to put our gifts to use, Commander.
Gifted or not, going behind enemy lines remains a perilous undertaking. But we must know more if we're to strike back at our foe. I'm counting on you.
If it would give us the upper hand, I'd do it 100 times over. We won't let you down.
That concludes the briefing. You two, make ready and join your escort.
Are you certain about this, Arenvold?
I am. Come on, let's talk outside.
Alright, let's see what Arenvold has to say. Now that it's out in the open, I don't have to keep it under my proverbial hat anymore.
So you know, I've already gone through all the formalities at the Rising Stones. Made sure to inform Jamolder and Vmar at Ralga's Reach as well.
Arenvold, I admire your enthusiasm, but this is far more dangerous than anything you have done before.
I know the risks. And I also know what's in store if we don't stop Fandaniel from carrying out his plan. With this power of mine, I can make a difference. If I stood idly by, I would regret it for the rest of my life.
And you, Fordola? Is this what you want?
Sorry to break up the scene here, but does anybody else think Alphino needs a haircut at this point?
What are you asking me for? It's not like I have any say in the matter.
Don't pretend. We both know Commander Aldin gave you a chance to refuse. And you didn't.
So the Empire's finished, is it? But that's what they're all saying. That the great and glorious Garlemald slit its own throat. And now, from out of its twitching carcass crawls the Telophoroi with bloody Xenos at its head! I fought for Garlemald. Killed for Garlemald. What was I part of? I need to know. Whatever it is, I need to know.
Very well. If your hearts are set on this, I shall not stand in your way.
If you've finished with your touching display of camaraderie, I have a question. Which tower are you planning to investigate, exactly?
Well, the one in Girabani is said to be tightly guarded. It's patrol after patrol out there, apparently. We'd be spotted before we got anywhere near it. Which is why we've set our sights on the one in Pagalthan instead. There shouldn't be anything like as many Imperials to worry about down there.
Even so, I doubt the local Amalja will look kindly on it if they catch you sneaking around in their territory.
Fordola and I had a chance to learn the lie of the land in our previous forays there. We might still find trouble, but at least we won't lose our way. Well, we'd best not keep them waiting any longer.
Mayhap when all of this is over, we could take another trip to Loxeld. I would have you know I've become a rather capable swimmer since our last visit.
Yeah, I remember when you came out of the ocean and you just fell flat on the ground on the beach there.
Ha! I'll believe that when I see it. Though, to be fair, getting into deep water does seem to be a scion's lot in life. Take care, eh? It means a lot, you know. You coming with me.
I'll still owe you for saving my skin, don't I? Can't return the favour if I'm not there.
I dare say you'll get your chance before long. That Fandaniel sounds like a tricky customer. Too much for the likes of me, anyway. But we both know I'd just be another soldier if it weren't for my gift. And I need to be a damn sight more than that given what's coming. I realise I can't hold a candle to a hero like the Warrior of Light, or Alphino for that matter. He might look like he's 12, but he's seen more action than most people see in a lifetime. No, the fact is I'm nothing like them, and maybe I never will be. But I'll be damned if I don't try.
I could see that happening, possibly, but I think they're more focused on their mission right now. So, maybe 6.0, 6.1. We might see something.
They're counting on me. On us. So let's give it our all.
He does not want for conviction, that much is certain. So let us have faith in him. Him and Fordola both. While they see to the towers, I would attend to another task. Chasing down this lunar Bahamut.
Bloody thing. Can you hear me? It's Tataru. I'm happy to say we've managed to find Estinian.
Well, that's good news.
And I'm sorry to say he went running off again the moment we told him about Bahamut.
Of course.
But he did mutter something about heading to Ishgard, so if you're quick, you might still be able to catch him.
Even if we set out this instant, he may already have left by the time we arrive. Have her send the Bonanza to Ishgard. It may prove useful should we need to give chase.
Gladly. I'll see to it as soon as Kryl and I get back to the Rising Stones. Good luck.
While you go off on your dragoon hunt, Urianger and I will return to headquarters. We have much to tell the others.
I wish you every success in your search for our elusive friend. May we all meet again ere long.
Alright, one down. Who knows how many are left to go. Up next we have Here Be Dragons. So, Estinian was bound for Ishgard. Whatever it is that brings him home, we must hope it will keep him there long enough for us to find him. Come, there is no time to lose. To Ishgard we go! All present? Good. Let us split up and search for Estinian. Since we're relatively new to this place, Graha and I will look around the open spaces, the squares and markets and whatnot. You and Prince can delve into the nooks and crannies. Very well. Let us reconvene at the airship landing later, with or without Estinian. Good luck. I'll say, you've been here to Ishgard before. Although granted, you were injured at the time. I think I shall begin at the Sky Steel Manufactory. So perhaps you could try the congregation? Lucia may well have heard news of our friend's return. Alright, so for that we need to head near the Forgotten Knight. Good day to you, Warrior of Light. Lord Aramek sent word that you would be attending the meeting in Alamigo, so I gather you have not come in search of him. To what, then, do we owe the pleasure of your visit? I see. No, we were not aware Sir Estinian had returned to Ishgard, but as I expect you remember, he is wont to come and go as he pleases. Mayhap he came seeking an audience with Lord Aramek, only to find him absent? In any event, I am afraid I cannot help you. Perhaps one of your companions has fared better. Alright, to the airship landing we go.
No sign of him. Not that I've ever met him before, but the way Alphino goes on about him, I'm fairly sure I could pick him out in a crowd.
Speaking of which, it does seem awfully quiet. If the erstwhile Azure Dragoon had returned to Ishgard, would it not be a source of general excitement?
First the Scion's Coinkeeper, and now you. I'm beginning to think these meetings are more than mere coincidence. Not that I'm complaining. It's been too long.
Too long?
You look an ilm taller and twice as rugged. It suits you, Alphino.
Okay, finally somebody confused the two of them.
Quieter, though. Have you been giving him lessons on how to be the strong, silent type?
I am not Alphino! If the two of you are such firm friends, perhaps you should remember what he looks like. And what do you mean, rugged? Ugh! Had my brother mentioned what an oaf you are, I'd never have bothered looking for you in the first place.
Estinian Wormblood, the Azure Dragoon. He who fought and felled the dread worm Nidhogg at the Warrior of Light's side. To think the day would come when I should see this living legend with my own eyes.
Okay, now he's swooning over Estinian instead of me.
Would someone mind explaining what is going on?
Is everything all right? I thought I heard Alize shouting. Estinian! It's been too long. No, it's quite understandable. That was hardly the first time we've been confused for one another. Nor, I suspect, will it be the last.
Well, I, for one, will not be making that mistake again. What I will say, for the second time today, is that you've grown. Inside and out. I can tell.
One can't remain a spoiled little lordling forever, you know.
At least someone's having a good time. You know, when we were growing up, Alphino would never befriend other boys because he couldn't stand the thought of not being in charge. But maybe that's changed. He seems just as happy around Estinian as he does Arenvald.
Interesting choice here. Well, you can't keep him all to yourself forever.
Keep him to my... You're joking, aren't you? I'd be glad if someone would take him off my hands.
No rest for the righteous, eh? Speaking of which, I was just on my way to borrow an airship to take me to Azisla.
Azisla? How could I forget? The dragon with whom Bahamut shared the deepest of bonds.
Tiamat.
Aye, Tiamat, his mate. Even now she remains imprisoned on Azisla, though her remorse binds her faster than any shackle.
I see. As the one who first summoned Bahamut, you believe she may be able to shine some light on his latest incarnation.
Might I suggest that we make the journey to Azisla together? I'm not sure if Tataru mentioned this, but we Scions have an airship of our own now.
I see no reason why not. Assuming your sister can bear the thought of sharing a deck with me.
Be my guest. But confuse me with Alphino again, and I'll throw you overboard. Ugh! I don't know who he thinks he is, but he's nothing like Alphino painted him to be.
I will admit, he is not exactly as I imagined him either. Based on what I had read of the man, I think I was expecting someone a little less... blunt?
We're all just one crazy crew. But given that Tiamat summoned Bahamut, it makes me wonder if we're going to be seeing a Porksy in a moment here or so. It has been quite some time since last I set foot in Azisla, but I understand the three of you were here more recently. I don't suppose you chanced to meet with Tiamat during your visit? Alas not. We had no cause to set foot here in the Delta Quadrant, but I have studied the relevant records, which is not to say I wouldn't appreciate a first-hand account of your dealings with her. Well then, Prince is the person to ask. As far as I know, he is the only one of us to have met Tiamat face to face. Let's just say it helped that Midgar Sormer was there to introduce me. Ah yes, you were a friend of her father. I too have met with Tiamat. After the Dragonsong War came to a close, I came here to speak with her, a worm who had fought her own war against man in another age. I wished to know if she yet harbored thoughts of vengeance, and asked as much. She said no. My hatred for your kind was extinguished long ago. But the guilt she feels for resurrecting Bahamut burns on undimmed. It torments her even now. I see. Then your original reason for coming here was out of concern that Tiamat had been forced to summon Bahamut. Nidhogg is a part of me. I feel his emotions as my own, and I know that he would not allow his sister to be made a tool of evil. In his absence, it falls to me to watch over her. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, pizza. Pizza time. Alright, up next we have Righteous Indignation. Tiamat awaits. This way. And there she is. Let's see what everybody's thinking. To think that man is responsible for all this, and so much else that dragonkind has suffered. Resigned to her fate though she may be, I cannot help but feel that we may be able to help Tiamat, would she only let us. So this is one of the 7 great worms. Even thus confined, her presence is overwhelming. This thing is not saying much.
It's plain she knows naught of recent events. Perhaps you should enlighten her.
And they were the ones that sustained him back in the binding coils. Though I still wonder how many may still exist over in Mericidia. I guess that's an adventure we'll have in the future. Hopefully.
I've seen it with my own eyes. Captives of a lost empire, neither alive nor dead, existing only to preserve Bahamut's corporeal form.
How about that? This is one of those points where if you actually completed the binding coils, her lines would probably have changed here. Or if you hadn't, rather. And do something about it.
Your children's pain means nothing to them. They laugh at your kind suffering. But tears will not right this wrong, nor will lamentation see the perpetrators punished.
Snosk anta in Dramon.
Behavior befitting a great worm. We came here to ask mighty Tiamat of the First Brood, consort of Bahamut, mother of the dragons of Mericidia, what she intends to do about the crimes committed against her children.
Santalan infan antosk. Kous lent an. Ale o esk an in. Ale kum ak in.
You too were exposed to his influence. That you are yet in possession of your own will is testament to the indomitable strength of your soul. But were you to meet with Bahamut again, you fear you might succumb.
Snoska Dramon kin. Nestra in. Iles I. Nesh an. And ala. Unmik. Nalstra ul an. Antal an. Small. Tahi an.
Graha?
On the matter of Bahamut's influence, at least, I believe we can be of some assistance. If you're afraid of being enthralled, don't be. We have a cure. And while we've never tried it on one such as you, its basic principles are universal.
Usk she's in.
There is no future for those bound to the past. That you committed a terrible sin, I do not dispute. But if you feel remorse, you may yet make amends. We offer you that chance. Take it, or you will forever remain a prisoner, not of these cruel shackles, but of your own guilt.
Sahaan, Seth Sol, Kin Bahamut, and An Sumon, Na An Inles, Snalo Les Dish An, Na Ala An Ul An Sin An, Stan In.
Okay, so I think this is the first time we've ever learned that the dragons, wherever they actually did come from, their own planet was in danger. Of course, we knew that Omega was chasing them, but we didn't know that the planet itself was in danger, and potentially may not exist anymore at this point. Alright, let's see what everybody's thinking. It won't make up for what she's suffered at the hands of men, but if there's a chance we can free her, truly free her, we owe it to her to try. I confess, my heart was in my throat when Estinian thought to berate her, but it appears to have had the desired effect. It would seem she still has some pride after all. Let's see if she's as good as her word. Yeah, that's for certain, Dragonlights. While Porxies have been shown to be effective in curing the tempered, Tiamat must be considered a special case. She is far, far larger and immeasurably more powerful than any subject treated thus far. Were we to remove her restraints only to find that the process had failed, we would be hard-pressed to contain her. Then, before going ahead, we should learn as much as we can about the exact nature of her condition. Do you suppose we can find that information here? Why, yes, we can. We can indeed. The Alligans kept detailed records on all of their notable captives. I know exactly where to look. We shall leave that to you, then. In the meantime, the rest of us can turn our thoughts to the removal of those shackles. I know Alphino and Prince here well enough, but not you. Are you certain you're ready to see this through? Rest assured, Sir Estinian, that I am both ready and willing to give my all for the sake of this star. Though that is not my only reason for wanting to set Tiamat free. While I do not claim to know all of her sorrows, I too once found myself in a prison of despair, and I well understand how hard it can be to dare to dream of escape. It took the encouragement of braver souls than I am to make me take the first step towards a brighter future, and now I would help Tiamat do the same. I gather you are not as young as you look. Mayhap when our work here is done, we could trade tales over a pot of Tataru's famous tea. And be indebted to her for the leaves and hot water? I think not. I see. Returning swiftly to the task at hand, then. I believe the nodes governing Tiamat's restraints are located in the sector known as the flagship. Ah yes, we are familiar with it. The Etherochemical Research Facility in particular. Oh, you may wish to take this. A spirit vessel containing a small amount of my blood. Which you just happen to be carrying around with you? I suppose that could seem rather odd. To explain, Rambros, Eorzea, and I are researching the use of spirit vessels in the transference not only of memories, but the traits of certain bloodlines. And so I keep one at the ready should an opportunity to test our theories arise. As for its use to you, you may recall that during our previous visit, the nodes here granted access to restricted functions, having identified me as being of royal blood. And armed with that spirit vessel, I posit that they will do the same for you, even in the absence of, well, the rest of me. It seemed worth a try at least. Agreed. We will take good care of it. To the flagship then. Yeah, he did say eventually his blood was going to distill to the point where it was not going to be traceable anymore, so he needs to have some way to be able to get back into the tower someday if he once that happens, so that makes sense. Let us split up and search the flagship for the node that controls Tiamat's restraints. But should you find a likely candidate, do not be tempted to make any adjustments. It would not do to accidentally release some manner of experimental monstrosity, nor less Tiamat herself in her current state. Our objective at this stage is simply to identify the relevant node or nodes. Once we have learned what we can, we should reconvene and compare notes prior to proceeding. Alrighty, so let's search out what we can here. Friction between metallic components detected. Temperature increasing to critical levels. Please replace damaged parts or retreat to a safe distance. Bzz. Now that one's malfunctioning. Oh, Estinian. These nodes, or whatever you call them, why do they quiver so? Data link with Delta Quadrant broken. Possible cause intruder interference. Advise deployment of automated combat units. Proceed. No, I was not going to do that at all, Wolf. Alpha, no. I realize I've said this before, and on more than one occasion, but I never cease to be amazed by Allegan technology. Amazed and disturbed. Alright, so we're looking for one more. And it's definitely in this area somewhere. There it is. Bloop, bloop. Warning. Scheduled dragon restraint maintenance due in negative 2020 years. Failure to verify system integrity may result in unscheduled specimen release. That looks like the one we need. I am afraid Estinian and I have little to show for our efforts. Did you find anything? We actually have the chance to say that here, huh? Oh. Nope. Oh, and the cutscene doesn't even continue then. Or, I guess, conversation. Alright, so I did. A note which smelled of burned hair. I know the one. Though I thought the stench more akin to a fire in a manure shed. But it seemed likelier to explode than grant our wish. Surely there must be another. I found a way to activate mechanical sentries, if that's any help. Only if they are willing to lead us to the node we seek, which I somehow doubt. But from what I recall of the flagship's design, the node you found could facilitate communications throughout Azys Law, so we may yet find a use for it. Alright, yes, a chirping node which spontaneously warned me about neglecting the dragon restraints. Spontaneously, you say? Well, that does sound promising. Almost suspiciously so, in fact. But then, you were in possession of the spirit vessel. I dare say it is indeed the node of which Graha spoke. And it was chirping, huh, you say? Very well, let us take a closer look. How did the Alligans tell these godforsaken things apart? As I suspected, the node will not acknowledge my authority to issue it instructions. Do you wish to operate the dragon restraint mechanisms? Blip, bloop. You do not have the requisite access privileges. Operation of the dragon restraint mechanisms may only be undertaken by the chief technologists and members of the royal family. Or those with a vessel full of royal blood, perhaps. Alright, one never knows when a small portion of royal Allagan blood might come in handy, which is why Graha Tia keeps this vessel about his person. New user detected. Commencing biometric authentication. Bloop. Authentication complete. User identified as member of the royal family. Please state your name. Well, that would get confusing, but I think I'm going to stick with my own, since that does at least have the sound of something royal. PrinceBrightstar. Welcome, PrinceBrightstar. You may operate the dragon restraint mechanisms when ready. Bloop, bloop. Error. Unable to disengage restraints of the specimen Tiamat. A system update is required. Okay, how many hours is this gonna take? A system update? What do you suppose it is asking of us? I could hazard a guess. Well, that's more than I can say. Confounded bloody thing. User agitation detected. Initiating guidance program. Bloop. In order to operate the restraint mechanisms, I require access to the central control system. However, I am unable to establish a link to said system due to the obsolescence of my own software. This issue can be resolved by applying a system update using the corresponding terminal located within the flagship. So can this thing release the restraints or not? It can, but only once it has received the requisite system update, as far as I can tell. Until which time it'll float there, spewing nonsense. User dissatisfaction detected. Initiating placation protocols. Bloop. I am here to help. Rest assured that I will be on hand to guide you through every step of the system update process. How gratifying. But I dare say we will fare better with guidance than without it. Alright, for vengeance. Bloop, guiding user to terminal. This way, please. That takes us a little bit higher. I guess we're supposed to go down here somewhere. Perhaps to where the Warring Triad is? It's over here, I think. Nope. Or could it be this thing over here? The arrow's pointing down, so I gotta figure out where this thing is actually telling me to go. Ah, here we go. This terminal appears to be similar to the one we encountered when we first set foot here. Let us hope it will be equally helpful. Don't look at me. This is a task for you and Alphino. Bloop. Access granted to user PrinceBrightstar and his adolescent Elysian companion. Master Brightstar's other companion is deemed a potential risk to safe operation and has been denied access privileges until further notice. Estinian, what did you do? Let's see. According to the terminal, the central control system is presently employing software version 56.135. Dare I ask which version you are employing? Why, software version 42.002, of course. Bloop, bloop. Warning, errors detected in the data management system. Estimated time required for update 5 years, 1 day. Well, with the restraints being unmaintained for over 2,000 years, perhaps we can just open them. That is rather longer than we were hoping. Aren't there any other options? For instance, using this terminal to operate Tiamat's restraints instead. Bloop. The proposed method is indeed an option. Please be warned, however, that the procedure may have changed as a result of the system update, and my instructions may no longer be accurate. Well, I can't imagine it will have changed all that much. As long as we pay due attention to any discrepancies, I dare say we shall be able to muddle our way through. Don't bother trying to explain. Just tell me if we've made any progress. I would say so, yes, it does. However, require that I remain here to operate the terminal. I shall inform you via link pearl once I am ready to release the shackles. It might be best if you left the spirit vessel with me. I may yet have use for it. Rest assured, I will be certain to return it to G'raha once this is over. Just a little more work and Tiamat will be free. But before we go any further, there's something I would know. When Tiamat and her kin fought against the Allagan Empire, both sides were but dancing to the tune of the Ascians. And it was the same in Ishgard, where they stoked the fires of conflict between man and dragon from the shadows. All that the Ascians touch turns to ash, and thus have you made it your mission to fight them. But there have been times when you tried to reach out to them instead, to find common ground. And so I must ask, what do you intend to do with Fandaniel? Will you try and reach out to him too? I will try, yes, and if that fails, I'll remember him. Good callback to the end of Shadowbringers. I see little point in reasoning with the wretch, or remembering him for that matter. But perhaps that's the difference between you and me. You see the good in people, even if it be but the faintest glimmer. I only hope you do not come to rue your benevolence. You think us unwise for viewing the world thus? Far from it. That has ever been your way, as I learned when we journeyed together with Iceheart. Yet the fact remains that there are some who view compassion as a weakness to be exploited, and there may come a time when you extend the hand of friendship only to wish that you had dealt the killing blow. So, save your mercy for those who deserve it. Well, we should be getting back to our task. If Alphinaud has things in hand here, I suggest we rejoin the others. Back to the southwest we go. So the spirit vessel proved useful after all. Excellent. If this Fandaniel truly is without reason or creed, he is no better than a rabid dog. Treat with him if you must, but be ready to do what is necessary. That's basically what we did with Xenos when we met him against... when we fought against him... when he merged with Shinryu. Estinian told me all is well, but nothing more. Honestly, it's like getting blood out of a stone with him. I take it Alphinaud's absence that he's needed elsewhere. Well, that all sounds rather frustrating, but you got there in the end. While you were off talking to nodes, G'raha and I were learning as much as we could about Tiamat's condition. Our readings confirm that her ethereal balance leans strongly towards the umbral, as was the case with the kobolds. Therefore, all other things being equal, the treatment should work. The difficulty lies in the sheer quantity of ether with which we must contend. Multiple applications of the treatment will inevitably be required if we are to reverse the effects of the tempering completely. Meaning I'll need all the ether I can get. Thank you in advance. Although this endeavor will ask much of us, we do have one reason to be optimistic. Namely that Tiamat shows no signs of fanatical devotion, suggesting a milder case of tempering than that suffered by the kobolds. Tiamat saw Bahamut as an equal rather than a god. Might that have made a difference? Now that you mention it, it very well might. She would not have believed it necessary to defy his will, or to defer it to his will. But enough talk. It's time to put our theories to the proof. Tell Alphino to disengage the restraint's ethereal dampers. I'm counting on you, Angelo. Ah, such warmth. The frost that shroudeth my soul doth begin to thaw. But what are these? Visions of days long forgotten, of war with men of a lag. Wherefore do such baleful memories return to me now? Could it be that the process of restoring her soul to its pre-tempered state is awakening ancient memories? Or might the opposite be true? If so, by helping her recall the past, we may be able to speed her recovery. Prince, she trusts you. Speak to her. Ask her to tell you of the past times. Tell me of your war with the men of Alag. Wicked, bloodthirsty creatures. Not content with their own lands, they brought fire and death to Meracidia, our home. The tale began when Bahamut and I left our father's side. We took wing in search of a place to make our eyrie. Beyond the southern ocean, we discovered a lush and fertile land. It would come to be known as Meracidia by the children of men, though many years were to pass before they crossed the seas. Upon our arrival, we were welcomed by the peaceful people of the forest, kin to the trees, surrounded by nature's bounty. Bahamut and I found a place to raise our young. Ah, that is actually starting to sound like they're setting up more content for the future. These people of the forest. Could be somebody that we meet in the future. Fascinating. This correlates with the writings of the Charlian scholar Ruru Shah. She posits that man first settled on the southern continent towards the end of the Second Astral Era. Correctly, it would appear. If only she were with us to hear the tale from Tiamat herself. Again, Angelo. When first the children of man arrived on our shores, no foot did they set in those places over which we held dominion. Such was their fear of dragonkind, and as they kept their distance, so did we let them be. Yet as the days went by, ship after ship appeared upon the horizon, bearing ever more of their brethren, who divided the vast lands amongst themselves. For a time, they knew peace and prosperity, but as their numbers grew, the smaller their share came to seem, and soon they began to covet the territory of their fellows. Ere long, man fought man, blood was answered with blood, and none could see an end to the strife, until one day they came to us. Recognizing our wisdom, they entreated us to intercede in their conflicts. Bahamut agreed, and with him presiding over the affairs of men, the land knew peace once more. Alas, those golden days of harmony, too, were fated to end. For the men of Alag slew my beloved, and I, in my rage and sorrow, heeded the envenomed words of the Ascians. The rest thou knowest only too well. But your tale doesn't have to end there. When you are free, we'll rid the world of the Ascians together, and you and your beloved will have justice. Fine sentiments, but you're almost spent. I'll keep watch from above. If the treatment fails, run. Ugh, thanks for the vote of confidence. I swear, when this is over... Keep going, I'll say. The magic is working. Slowly but surely, the magic is working, aided no doubt by the memories you bade her share. While I knew this wasn't going to be easy, no patient could have prepared me for treating a great worm. But we're close, I can feel it. And while I've only got a few more drops of ether left to give, with yours and Graha's, this will work. Then I believe I speak for both of us when I say you may take as much as you require. Careful, I might hold you to that. Alright, here I go.
No! I'm almost there!
Take it.
This is it, Angelo!
Es ließ an, mich es die.
Did it work?
We won't know for certain until the shackles are removed.
Task in Santal Ankin in way.
Many have been subjected to the Allagan's dark arts, their flesh irrevocably altered. For such tortured souls, I fear there can be no salvation.
Ankin. Slosk an all for Sloska seth som in an. Afatan. Mon ud. Wan ein. Lis an. Do ud an.
When that time comes, you won't be alone. We'll stand by you.
She's in an en mig.
Alphino's ready. It's time. Do it. And let's hope the treatment worked as it should.
Mahamud an esk. Ul jas. Ul asa. Vesk an.
By the gods!
Eorzea, your timing could not be better. Understood, we're on our way. It's Bahamut. He's been sighted over Pagalthan. He flies for the largest Amalja settlement in the region, at the head of a vast host, including dragons.
Did you hear all that, Alphino? You'd best rejoin your comrades. I'll make my own way. Our enemy awaits. Shall we?
Not even a minute out of chains and he's already riding her. Oh well. Alright, let's check in with Gratia. While I'm sure you're desperate to join Estinian and Tiamat in battle, 'twould be wiser to gather the full strength of the Scions first. The foe we face demands no less. Indeed, Dragoon's got a Dragoon. Okay, I'll take the smoked chicken in this case. Flames of War. I've already sent word to the others. We are to rendezvous in Ul'dah, at the Hall of Flames. Let us collect Alphino and be on our way. And this is the first time we see the platform empty. Ah, a rare warp to the destination. First the spate of abductions, and now an attack on the Amalja homeland. What do the Telofori aim to achieve with all this? If you're worried about me, don't be. I got some rest during the flight, and now I feel ready for anything. As I am sure you recall, Arenvald and Fordola were bound for Paglfan. I pray they have not come to any harm. By happy coincidence, Kryl and I were in the process of concluding our inquiries when news reached us of Lunar Bahamut's return. There's much to discuss, but it will have to wait. Of the foe we face, we know but little. Though time be of the essence, we must not stint in our preparations, lest our haste to fly to the aid of the Amalja cost us our best chance of victory. Now, I know some of you could do with a rest, but I'm sorry to say that Telofori have other plans. Paglfan is already under siege. Happily, the Immortal Flames arrived just in time to join the defensive effort, with Marshal Taropin at their head. Well now, given the failure of the peace negotiations, I was uncertain how the Sultanate would respond. 'Tis good to hear that Ul'dah has not abandoned the Amalja. Abandon them? Did we not profess to be their friends? Your Grace. Marshal Taropin has made provisions for such an exigency, and was ready to depart at a moment's notice. All that was required was the agreement of the Syndicate, each of whom voted in favor of intervention. Nor is Ul'dah alone in its resolve. The other Alliance nations have likewise dispatched their troops to Paglfan. Yet even with our combined strength, we shall be sorely tested, for we face not only the might of an Imperial Legion, but Lunar Bahamut and his draconic horde besides. Tiamat's children. Fight as we may, victory is by no means assured. But not all of the omens are grim. Our forces report that despite their proximity to Lunar Bahamut, none of the Amalja show any signs of tempering. Strange. What primal would turn down a chance to claim new thralls? Unless it is incapable of doing so. Primals are not wont to serve a master, Ascian or otherwise. It may well be that Lunar Bahamut differs in some fundamental manner from those we have previously encountered. If that were true, anyone could fight him, and Prince and others like him wouldn't have to shoulder the burden alone. Be that as it may, Lunar Bahamut remains an incalculably powerful foe, whom our soldiers will struggle to best through mere force of arms. With the aid of the Scions, however, I believe they will fare rather better, assuming, that is, if you are ready to take the field. An airship awaits to bear you to the front. Pray set forth as soon as you are able. I, meanwhile, shall continue to coordinate our forces. Till next we meet, may the 12 bless and keep you. It was kind of her to speak with us personally. You may be certain she has no shortage of other responsibilities. Well, I for one am inclined to do as her Grace requests. Lest we forget, Arenvald and Fordola are in Paglfan on reconnaissance. The sooner we save the day, the better their chances. Indeed. To the airship, then. Alright, so we need to make our way over to the airship landing. And so for that, we have a bit of a run to make. Ul'dah is busy as ever. Especially with the Make It Rain campaign going on right now. Let's see what everybody else is saying here. Lest thou wonder, I have attended to Thancred's ammunition, and completed mine own preparations. I trust thou canst say the same of thine. Try as I might, I cannot fathom why the Telophori would move to attack the Amalja. If Fandaniel's objective is death and destruction, one of the city-states would surely have been a better target. No, they have some other agenda. One encompassing the recent abductions, perhaps. Do you think Estinian and Tiamat have already reached Pagalthan? Ah, but I should know better than to speculate on the whereabouts of the Azure Dragoon. Forgive me. It is not impossible that the Telophori redirected some of the troops stationed at the tower to the front line. If so, this may all turn out to have been to Arenvald and Fordola's benefit. Given what we know, some, or perhaps all, of the Imperial soldiers may have been tempered. If we can subdue them, we should be able to do something about that. But they would still see us as enemies even then. That said, they wouldn't be deaf to reason, which is better than nothing. So, the Telophori have constructed buildings capable of tempering, and primals which are not. What secrets are they hiding? Greetings, we've been expecting you. But say the word, and we shall depart for Pagalthan at once. Alright, Pagalthan now accessible. And with that, before we kick this off, I do want to take a quick 3 to 5 minute break, at which point we're going to head in. So please stand by, everyone. I will be right back.